So, oh boy, do I have a treat for you guys. Yep, I finally tracked down a copy. This is his third edition of this book. So, if anyone asks, or anyone says I'm misinterpreting what he says, then basically it's all here in black and white. And we're going to go through this entire book because, oh my god, I'm only up to chapter 2, but if what the first 2 chapters are going to be like, then oh my god, we're going to be in for a wild ride. So strap yourselves in, because we're going to go through the prologue. My name is Peter Gideon, or Glidden. Sorry, Peter Glidden. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. I received a BS in pre-ed biology from the University of Massachusetts in 1987 and a naturopathic medical degree from Vassar University of Naturopathic Medicine in 1991. Well, again, I'm still questioning whether or not this is actually a real degree, because as far as I can tell, the University of Massachusetts has never offered this degree. So I am still pretty much in the camp of he's lied about this biology degree, or his pre-med biology degree. As of October 2010, the date of this book was first published, I have had 22 years of clinical experience delivering primary naturopathic medical care treatments. Naturopathic tradition, right, this is where it gets fun. Naturopathic physicians are trained in, remember this, and I want you to remember this, science-based, clinically verified, safe, effective and affordable holistic medical treatments such as clinical nutrition, homeopathy, herbal medicine, bioidentical hormone balancing, acupuncture and detoxification programs, all of which are not science-based or clinically verified. Naturopathic medicine is a fully fledged, licensed and regulated primary again, that's just quite hilarious, primary medical discipline. In order for someone to become a licensed naturopathic physician, they must first secure the following: 4 years of pre-med education from an accredited academic institution. Well, first of all, this is another, quite frankly, bullshit claim, because the thing is, the University of Massachusetts does do a biology degree. They don't state whether it's a pre-med biology degree, but they only do it for 3 years. So again, this is a really glaring contradiction. We also know from people like Marie Britt Holmes, who have basically said that on her course there were people who had no prior medical knowledge or learning to get onto her naturopathic degree course. 4 years of naturopathic medical education from an accredited naturopathic medical school. Again, Marie Britt Holmes' course, where she became a fully licensed naturopathic physician, only 3 years. 900 hours of clinical supervision. Marie Britt Holmes says that the facts for naturopathic physicians who do this, these 900 hours are incredibly hard to get. In fact, most of them can't even do it. Pass national board exams. Guess what? A lot of these board exams, for a lot of these guys, haven't actually passed it because there isn't a unified board. So different board have different exams and different qualification standards. Pass state board exams. Well, guess what? A lot of these states do not license naturopathic physicians. And again, a lot of these guys operate in areas where they are not licensed by state boards. 24 hours of continuing medical educational credits each year. Well, I have no idea what that means because, again, I'm from the UK, not America, and I'm not 100% familiar with their educational system. So if anyone wants to fill me in on what that means, I'd be more than welcome. In states that license and regulate naturopathic medicine, NDs can prescribe drugs. Well, they won't prescribe you real drugs, they'll prescribe you homeopathy and herbal medicine, which, to my knowledge, you don't actually need a license to prescribe. Perform minor surgery. Again, I wouldn't trust any of these guys performing minor surgery because, again, we go back to Marie Britt Holmes. Basically has come out and said, hey, these guys don't have anywhere near closer medical training as actual doctors, so I wouldn't trust any of these guys to perform minor surgery. Deliver babies, work in hospitals, no hospital would have them. Order all diagnostics tests, well, they do order such tests, but the thing is, a lot of these tests they don't seem to order these tests on patients where they could prove their treatments work. Which is, again, you'd think, and again, this guy is going to claim that their treatments do work continually throughout this book, and yet, again, he's not going to offer any form of treatment, of any form of evidence, seriously. Refer to themselves as physicians. They really shouldn't be allowed to do that, in my opinion, but there we go. And have their services paid for by insurance companies. Well, guess what? No insurance company will back it because, again, these are not science-based or any clinical verified things that these guys are doing. As of 2010, 15 states, the District of Columbia, the territories of Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands license and regulate the practice of naturopathic medicine. Naturopathic medicine treatments are designed to support and promote the healthy function of the human body. Well, so are normal drugs. They stimulate the body's built-in self-healing mechanisms. Again, the body isn't this fantastic tool that they make it out to be. Again, pretty much 90% of the problems within the human body are caused by the human body. Where are we? Yes, here we are. More often not, treatments delivered, here we go, by naturopaths help people completely recover from whatever illness they have been suffering from. Below is a partial list of conditions that I have seen people completely recover from. Get ready, strap yourselves in, because apparently these guys have had the complete cure for these diseases and yet have provided no evidence at all that they can cure these diseases. Osteoporosis, fibromyalgia, I think that's how you say it, osteopenia, rheumatoid arthritis, kidney stones, insomnia, carpal tunnel, depression, kidney disease, ADD, high blood pressure, osteoarthritis, this is the best one, Down syndrome, migraine headaches, asthma, autism, celiac, I think that's how you say it, celiac diabetes, and type 2 diabetes, which are hilarious. And again, we've gone through a couple of these sort of people that have done these claims, and again, they cannot provide any proof or evidence that they've done such a thing. Anyway, he continues, let me be perfectly clear. The conditions listed above are completely eliminated through the application of naturopathic medical treatments. Well, guess what, Pete? You haven't shown any evidence, and you have yet to show any evidence that these treatments that you list, you can completely cure. And sorry, autism and Down syndrome? What the fuck? And oh, it gets really good here. And this is one of the parts that I really wanted to read. And I quote directly from his book. The person that had the condition before they started the treatment and they no longer have it after the treatment. In common parlance, this is referred to as a cure. The Down syndrome case is interesting, don't you think? Down syndrome is a genetic disease which is irreversible once the child is born. Well, I'd say it's irreversible full stop. It doesn't matter whether the child is born or not, because again, Down syndrome is a genetic disease. At least he got that part right. And guess what? A lot of these genetic diseases cannot be reversed once they've gotten. And again, this is this guy, again, feeding people false hope. So people coming to my channel and telling me that these people give people hope and that they're really changing people's lives, well, I'm sorry, but this guy is an out-and-out liar. Where were we? First one. Yep. In this particular case, the diagnosis was made during the pregnancy. Sometime in the first 3 months of the pregnancy, fluid from the mother's womb collected in a procedure called amethanosis. Yep. Can't say this. Amethanosis, I think that's how you say it. Analysis of the fluid determined that the developing fetus had Down syndrome. Upon receiving the diagnosis, the mother started an aggressive naturopathic nutrition program, and about 7 months later the child was born completely normal. This happened because the mother's system, and remember, this is directly from his book, this is true of all genetic diseases, not just Down syndrome. When the mother became 100% nutrified by taking nutritional supplements, again, nutritional supplements are bullshit, they do nothing and provide no medical or health benefits. The genetic expression of the disease was turned off. In this case, it was turned off before it was too late and the child was born with perfect health. So this guy is not only claiming he can cure someone who is diagnosed of Down syndrome in the womb, but can also cure them when they have been born. Again, this is completely bullshit, and I've only read up through the prolog and chapter 1 and up to chapter 2, and so far this guy will quote medical papers or cite things when they seem to suit his cause. But when you get something like this, there is no citation, no mention of the patient, no follow-up cases or anything. And again, I've heard of this happening before where doctors have said that it looks like this child is going to have autism, it looks like this child is going to be born with Down syndrome, and when they've been born, they've been perfectly fine. Misdiagnosis can happen. But does this guy want to admit or anything like that? No. Of course not. Not bad, don't you think? The mother was happy. What about the child? This is just the tip of the naturopathic iceberg called cure. You would not believe the conditions I've seen people recover from. Regrettably, however, this is probably the first time that you have ever heard the terms naturopathy, or naturopathic medicine. It is probably not licensed or regulated in your state that you reside in, and for good reason. There is also a high degree of probability that your health insurance will not pay for services of a licensed naturopathic physician who is working in your area. More's the pity. good. Because why should an insurance company pay out for something that is not scientifically proven and not based in any sort of evidence or that has been clinically verified? Again, Peter here makes these claims, but again, they haven't been backed up by any scientific evidence or any clinical studies. In the early 1800s and early 1900s, the medical marketplace in the United States was quite different today. Yes, because nobody was licensed and people could practice what they wanted. It was literally the Wild West of medicine. You could literally sell snake oil, which is where the term snake oil salesman comes from. The naturopaths, the chiropractors, the osteopaths, the herbalists, and the allopathists, the MDs, were all vying for patients, recognition, and turf. Which, again, is what this guy is trying to do. And again, remember throughout all these videos we're going to do, through all these chapters, this is a massive scaremongering tactic. He will continually quote and cite one piece of evidence or one article or a paper that was from about 10 or 20 years ago. Not the evidence that is current and up to date, but the evidence that suits his cause and suits his narrative. We're all vying for patient narrations. Many times the competition between medical practitioners from different camps would spill over into violence. Citation needed, because I haven't been able to find any evidence of this. In the 1800s, a medical group in Boston used a cannon aimed at the front door of the competitor's hospital to coerce them to cease and desist what they were doing. I haven't been able to find a single piece of evidence that this actually happened. So until someone can provide me with otherwise that this has happened, what he has just stated is a complete lie. Have you ever seen the movie Gangs of New York? You will have an idea of what I'm talking about. Even though there was a lot of competition in those days, the medical playing field was relatively level, and nobody really had the upper hand. Yes, because back then we certainly didn't have the rigorous standards that we have designed for science and evidence-based medicine that we do now. The things that stop Peter here from being able to sell his medical mumbo-jumbo to the masses. In the second decade of the 20th century, 1910 and 1920, there was a dramatic shift of power in the medical arena. Basically what he's going to say is a complete bullshit, but what was really going on was that science and evidence-based medicine was started to be taken seriously. Things were being studied, new things were being found out. Germs, for instance, were beginning to be discovered as the cause for a lot of our illnesses, viruses, and other things like that, which previously we had no knowledge of. Everything changed. A gentleman by the name of Albert Flexner was hired by the Carnegie Institute to tour the country and compile a list of all the medical schools, hospitals that practiced MD-directed, drug-delivered medicine. This was, of course, well before the age of the internet, the aeroplane, the interstate highway system. Flexner travelled the country via train and stagecoach. 5 years after he started, Flexner returned from his list, which is historically referred to as the Flexner Report. The Carnegie Institute subsequently donated millions of dollars to the medical schools and hospitals on Flexner's list. Again, and this money contributed to even more understanding and learning of our science-based medicine approach which we have today. Things which you claim you are a part of, which you are not. Other groups like the Rockefeller Foundation followed Carnegie's lead and donated large sums of money to the medical schools and hospitals that deliver MD-directed synthetic drug treatments. Can you guess why? Carnegie and the Rockefellers were heavily invested in pharmaceutical companies. Big whoop. So what? Again, the idea that pharmaceutical companies make money is not a bad thing, nor is evil. Again, this is all tying into the whole big pharma conspiracy theory. It was a good move. Within 10 years of the Flexner Report, the medical stage in the United States had completely shifted in favour of the MDs, and by the 1920s, the medical turf war game was over, and the MDs were subsequently in the driver's seat of medicine. They have been there ever since. Most Americans, being unaware of the goings-on, mistakenly assume that MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine because their treatments are better than those of their competitors. Well, I'm sorry, Pete, but they are. Time and time again, science and their evidence-based approach have proved them right, and you completely wrong. He continues, this couldn't be further from the truth. MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine only because of financial conditions that were organised at the turn of the 20th century. So basically, Peter bemoans the fact that, oh no, they've got more money than me, which is essentially what he is saying, and he's basically dipping into your wallet and giving money to him rather than them. D's, whose treatments are scientifically proven and based on evidence, versus Peters, who claims they are, but in fact they're not, and can't produce a single piece of evidence to support his claim. Where are we? Yep. Or, easy way to say it, MDs owe their preeminence of medicine and societal status to drug money. Go figure. And not due to the, maybe all that learning, the education and contribution to humanity that they've done, versus your side, which has done nothing. Now, at the beginning of the 21st century, we are in the middle of the healthcare crisis in the United States, all because Flexner's chickens have finally come home to roost. If you do not think we are actually in a healthcare crisis, consider the following points. The leading cause of bankruptcy is the high cost of medical care. The leading cause of MD harm the leading cause of harm is MD-directed medical treatment. And for once, he actually cites something. We'll get back to these once he gets back to these points. The third leading cause of death is medical errors. The US spends 3 times much per person on healthcare as every other industrialized nation in the world, and we are second from the bottom in the healthcare of our citizens. The war on chronic diseases, including cancer, has been lost. Okay, so let's talk about his citation, because this is a perfect chance to bring them up. Peter here only cites papers or newspaper articles which suit his point. Basically, even though there's this massive piece of evidence, these mounds of evidence that say otherwise, he will grasp on to a single piece of paper or a single piece of newspaper report that was written, which is the case here. The thing where he cites about the medical, MD-directed medical treatments, a lot of this, the paper he's citing is by Phillips D. Cransfield and N. Glidden L. Insurance. Yes, I think so. Glidden, an increase in medication error deaths between 1983 and 1993. It was published in The Lancet. Now, I want you to make a note, because back then, that was 1993. What about now? Remember, this book was first published in 2010 and is in its 3rd edition. So you have to ask yourself, why, for example, is he not quoting more modern statistics? Why, for example, is he not quoting, between 2010 and 2015 or something like that? It's because those statistics prove him wrong now. What happened because of this? And when you actually look at the paper, a lot of these reasons that they were listing in the paper were because people were keeping medicines and then giving them to other people when they didn't have that correct disease, or after they'd finished the course they still had medication left over and kept on taking that medicine, or they were overdosing themselves because they weren't reading the instructions properly on the bottle. That's what happened. And again, there are such things as, again, doctors do have accidents. Again, they are only humans. And again, Glidden here, there has never ever, let's be real for a second, there has never ever been an actual study into seeing whether these people have killed people or whether their treatments they've given to people have caused harm. Now we know they've caused harm. There are lots of examples, but there have never been fully done actual studies. And again, he ignores this in favour of, oh, look at all these things that have happened. And again, he cites another paper, incidents of adverse drug reaction in hospital patients. Well, again, you read that, and a lot of the reason that happened in that paper that they state is people were having allergic reaction to penicillin, and these people didn't know they had an allergic reaction to penicillin. Go figure. And then that called for higher testing in people to see whether they had these allergic reactions or not. And that there should be different responses, and there's things have progressed since 1998. And again, let me remind you, this was done in 2010, the first volume of this book, and it's now 2016 and we're on the third edition. It doesn't say when the third edition was published, but hey, there you go. But again, all these things that he cited in these points are all old articles or old research that don't reflect the current state of medicine that we have now. We are certainly not losing the war on cancer, considering, again, year after year after year, survival rates of cancer are going up dramatically. And yes, cancer rates are going up. Why? Because we have increased awareness of them. People are more aware of cancer and looking out for the signs. We have advanced ways of detecting cancer. So again, of course you're going to see an increase. But again, does this guy even acknowledge this? No, of course he doesn't. And he continues, the root cause of our country's healthcare crisis has nothing to do with medical insurance or lack thereof. Well, you've just listed that the leading cause of bankruptcy is the high cost of medical care. And yet you've just said the root cause of the country's healthcare crisis has nothing to do with medical insurance, and yet you list it as a cause of this medical crisis. That baffles me, because that is a clear contradiction. And again, if this guy is so concerned about medical insurance, why is he not advocating for systems that would help this, like in America the government option, or a single payer health system like we have in the UK? We have the NHS. Is he advertising for that? No. Nor does it have to do anything to do with the high cost of MDs directed medical treatment. The root cause of healthcare crisis boils down to three simple facts. So these are his three facts, okay? MD directed pharmaceutical medicine, in capitals, does not work in the treatment of chronic diseases. Because again, there is a difference. these doctors will not claim to cure these chronic diseases. A lot of these chronic diseases we do not have cures for because we don't have cures for. We only have ways to manage the symptoms and to basically help people, you know, be able to live lives in less pain. This guy claims that, hey, I can cure that, when he has no evidence that he can cure this. His point 2. MD-directed pharmaceutical medicine is the only system of medicine that our hospitals provide, and with good reason. Our medical insurance pays for, and that the most people know about. Good, because your system has no evidence that it works. So why should an insurance company pay out for something which has no proven evidence that it works? The American Medical Association has successfully orchestrated a 100-year-long slander and smear campaign against all their alternative competitors. Okay, let's get this out the way. You cannot compete with modern medicine. You have no evidence that your alternative medicine works, and you have no clinical trials to back up anything you say that works. Full stop. You are making claims constantly so far in this book that you cannot back up. You list things here just now, things that suit your point, but when you're trying to make a point in these points, where is your evidence that backs up your point? And again, like I say, there are numerous examples I've already read so already, but there you go. He continues, if you are not an MD, you are labelled a quack, and rightly so. And your profession is outlawed from the practice of medicine, and again, rightly so. This has made the average person hesitant and suspicious of anything other than MD-directed medicine. And good job, because then people question it, and they question you, and they realise that you're full of bullshit. MDs constantly fail to fix conditions that naturopaths take care of easily. Arthritis, that doesn't make sense. Arthritis, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, insomnia, depression, asthma, anxiety, to name a few, all of which you provide no evidence, particularly the arthritis one, where show me your science-based evidence that you can cure arthritis, Peter. You can't. Yet, to name a few, are all eliminated by naturopathic physicians all the time, because there are less than 3,000 licensed naturopaths in the entire country, and the teeming masses of suffering humanity is completely unaware of the fact that safe, effective, affordable alternatives to MD treatments exist. And yet, a couple of minutes ago, you were saying how the price for MDs isn't what is contributing. Yet there, you've just made it sound like it is. And here's the thing, people. Be under no illusions that if these MDs ever got to this status, let's say Peter gains all this advocacy and all that he comes to pass is proven true, be under no illusions at all that their prices would suddenly skyrocket. Be under no illusion at all. It also doesn't help that it is illegal to use the word cure for anything that is not a drug. See chapter 16, and we'll get to chapter 16 soon. The MDs have driven the bus over the cliff into a ditch in the middle of a swamp. Naturopathic physicians and you are the only ones with the ability to get us out of this. That's right, I said you. You have the ability to change how healthcare is practiced in the United States. This is why I wrote this book. it makes absolutely no sense for anybody to pay for medical insurance that will only provide them with access to a system of medicine that continually fails to cure things for which the number one cause of suffering in this country. Why should insurance pay out for things that are clinically unverified, even though you claim they are, and unscientifically verified, again, even though you claim they are? Yeah, but as a rule, we become anxious and nervous when we don't or can't afford medical insurance. Again, why aren't you advocating for like single payer healthcare systems like an NHS system, or universal healthcare like we do in Europe, or the government option which was provided? Again, what you seem to be wanting to do is switch one system for another, but you want naturopaths to be in charge rather than MDs. Where were we? We all need to collectively have our heads examined. The only reason we continue to act in this ass-backwards manner is simply because we don't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. And one of the things you don't know is that holistic medicine excels in treating chronic disease, and yet they have no evidence to provide that. If you know what I know about treatments that MDs use, which you don't because you've never been trained as an MD, you would run away as fast as you can. You would only use their services for emergency trauma care and surgery, in brackets, when it is absolutely necessary. If you know what I know about naturopathic medical treatments, you would camp outside in front of your state house with all your family members, friends and neighbours and demand that you legalise, license and regulate and protect the practice of naturopathic medicine in your state. If people did actually know, they wouldn't be trying to support it. They'd be trying to ban it and making sure that charlatans like you, Peter, were never allowed within 100 metres of a patient. If you pay attention to what you learn here, you will be able to recover your health to a remarkable degree. I will show you how to become healthy, so healthy that with time you'll be able to stop taking all your prescription medicines. So he's telling people that you should stop taking your prescription medications, because that's really good advice. I will eliminate the anxiety that exists at the back of your mind about your health failing in your old age, because I will show you how to dramatically increase your odds of living longer and a healthy life. For the icing on the cake, I will not only show you how to do all this, I will even show you how to get paid for doing it. And I will show you how to become an essential gear in the engine for social change. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the prologue to Peter Glidden's The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. And quite frankly, you should be able to see the pattern that is clearly emerging. This book, I'm calling it now, is going to be a complete fear driver to make you fear doctors, MDs and medical treatments, big pharma, because what this guy wants you to do, instead of giving your money to them, give money to him. And in it, he's selling you a dream. This guy, later on, there is a chapter called 90 for Life, which is all about, surprise, surprise, the good old pyramid scheme of longevity. And guess what? People who sell these longevity products make ridiculous and outlandish claims. The same claims this guy makes. They cannot back up with evidence. He is so far, again from the prologue and chapter 1 I've read, not cited any evidence to back up his claim. He only cites old evidence or old papers or a single paper. In the majority of cases, in all the cases, it's one paper that was about 20 years ago, and that yet he clings onto with tooth and nails, even though time and time and time again he has been told it is wrong. So yeah, that was the prologue, people, and good God, we've got 26 chapters to go through on, I think it's, 138 pages. This is going to be fun.